Welcome to the SEC Unfiltered channel. I told you I would start doing live reactions feast week. What a night. What a phenomenal start to feast week, folks. Auburn, Janai Broom with the tip in, folks. What do we say? What do you say about that? Unbelievable. Auburn gets the 83-81 win over Iowa State. I mean, it was a true tale of two halves. I'm stealing a line from our guy, former Alabama basketball coach and now broadcaster Avery Johnson. But, hey, man, I feel like he used to say that all the time. But that's really what it was. Excuse me for a minute. I mean, at one point, Iowa State was up 18 in this game and was just totally dominating the game in the first half. Auburn was down 16, 49-33. And it was just Auburn came out with just kind of a different energy, and Iowa State started playing into Auburn's hands. Not South Carolina. So Iowa State started playing into Auburn's hands. They started playing their up tempo, up style. So Auburn started forcing more turnovers. I think if Iowa State slows the game down, they probably just win because there's not enough possessions to catch up. They got caught into Auburn's top. That's what Auburn does. That's what Auburn does. Deep, tenacious, plays with a chip on their shoulder. It's like they have a sack to them. I hate using that language, but it is what it is. It's late night of feast week. I mean, let's call it what it is. They got pairs on them. I mean, Auburn's got grown men who understand how to win. They don't really look like they're ever panicked. Auburn's got a team that has some big balls to them. I mean, they really do. This is a team they're dangerous. You're not going to want to play them on a night in, night out. Legit national title contender. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's look at the spot. Let's look at the box score here just a little bit. Let me present to you. Let's bring up the old, just so we have a visual here. Everybody good? We can see this. Perfect. So you see, I think Auburn was shooting like 36% at half, but obviously they got that up to 47.5% from the field. For three-point range, still not great, 33.3% overall. It's still not great. But overall, we got to think they still put up 83 points against. I mean, these are two arguably, throw Houston in there. Those are the top three defensive teams. And when I think of really good defensive teams, just three teams off the top of my head, I would probably say Auburn, Houston, Iowa State. Wouldn't you? I mean, those are three really good defensive basketball teams. And for both these teams to go 80+, it's impressive. Now, Iowa State got a lot of their points in the second half at the charity stripe, at the free throw line. Neither team shot phenomenal. 38% from beyond the arc on 18 attempts. You can tell Auburn got 27 more three-point attempts off. Overall, both shot really good from the free throw line, 81%, 82%. Rebounds, 35-27. Auburn got doubled the amount of offensive boards they did. Turnovers, 12 and 9, not terrible. You always keep it in single digits in today's college basketball, as up-tempo as it is. That's always good. This was just a really good college basketball game, folks. Maui is delivered between the UConn-Memphis game to open up. This has been a really good Maui Invitational so far, and we knew it. It was the best field we'd seen in a long time. We used to have North Carolina-Dayton playing later tonight. But specifically in this game, I mean, what do you say? Janai Broom just doing his thing. Let's go to the team box score here. Check it out, Auburn. I mean, in 36 minutes, ends up with 21 points, 10 boards. I mean, just doing Janai Broom things. I mean, the most consistent player in the SEC, just a walking double-double. Chad Baker-Mazaro is the kid that's taken the next step. Again, everybody was on him all offseason about what happened in the Yale game, him getting ejected, feeling like he kind of sucked out the energy, was a reason why Auburn had that first-round upset against the Bulldogs. 22 minutes, 18 points, 3 from 4 from beyond the arc, shooting 75% from 3. I mean, that's really good, folks. That's really good. He grabbed down 3 boards. Auburn is pretty. 21 for Broom, 18 for CBM. Denver Jones 12, Miles Kelly 12. You got Todd Pettiford coming off the bench, playing well again against another big team. Where he had a big game against Houston 2 weeks ago. Auburn's pretty deep, guys. I mean, I know you're saying that you wouldn't be listening to it, but the only question you'd have with him is what is JP Pegues' role in this team? What is JP Pegues' role in this team, the Furman transfer? I saw him play in person one time, and when they took him, I was like, I don't hate it, just depending how you're going to use him. If you're going to think he's going to be some instant shooter at scoring a lot at the high major level in the SEC, I think you're going to be disappointed. So far, that's been true. But Chad Baker-Mazara taking that next step's been massive. Miles Kelly's been really good from three-point land. Denver Jones is taking that next step. I mean, Auburn's just dangerous, man. They just kind of have that. They're never out of games because they go in these like 18-2 runs. They kind of like a microwave. It's just like Chad Baker-Mazara can get real hot real fast. Denver Jones can get hot. Miles Kelly can get hot. Jani Broome has improved his three-point shooting ability. I mean, phenomenal win for Auburn. I mean, Auburn's the best team in the country right now. They have easily the two best wins against Houston and against Iowa State. First time it's been a top 5 matchup in Maui. That's interesting. That's wild to say, though. And I thought Iowa State was a really good team. I mean, overall, Deshaun Jackson, I thought made some clutch free throws for them down the stretch. Keyshawn Gilbert, I loved his style, 23 points. They're doing big things. The Milan Milivojevic kid, 12 points, was doing some fadeaway jumpers, hitting them, even tough shots with like Chaney Johnson in his face. This is going to be a good basket. I mean, this is going to be. I mean, that felt like a Sweet 16, Elite 8 type game. That's really what it felt like. It felt like where you're in a regional final, TJ Otzelberger, Bruce Pearl. That was a fun basketball game. That's a fun basketball game. That's why I love Feast Week so much. And that's why I was so excited about this Maui Invitational bracket, man. I mean, tomorrow you can have Auburn, North Carolina. That's what odds would tell us now. Dayton and Anthony Grant may have other plans. But, again, fun tournament. UConn's in the loser's bracket already. Memphis is physical as they play. Maui's going to be real, guys, and we've had 2 really good games with the finish with UConn, Memphis, Auburn, and Iowa State. But, man, Auburn just kept chipping away. I tweeted about it. I didn't know after the first 4 minutes they came out on fire, the 9-0 run. I didn't know if they could keep that energy because we see it all the time, guys. Teams come back from double digits and tie it, get it to 1 possession, but then they just kind of – they tap out because they exhausted so much energy in the comeback and going to that big run that they usually just can't finish the job. And it's understandable. It's emotion high and lows. Any of us, if played athletics in general, you exhaust a lot on the front end coming back. It's hard to finish, but Auburn finished. I mean, they almost faltered at the very, very end. The flagrant one foul in Chad Baker-Mazara on the foul. On who was it at the time? Wasn't it? It was Keyshawn Gilbert, when he extended his arms, that's who it was. That kind of felt like it turned the game around a little bit. But Auburn gets a big defensive stop at the end when TJ calls a timeout to set up a play with Gilbert, and they get a big steal. Missed shot, but Mr. Consistent in the SEC, the best player in the SEC. Jani Broome comes up, Mr. Walking double-double. Phenomenal game. Cheering for North Carolina. I want to see Auburn, North Carolina. North Carolina plays Alabama next week, so maybe they'll see both of them here. In the next week. A massive win for Auburn. We'll see going down the stretch. Coming back, though, to you. Sharing the screen. South Carolina drops one 75-66. Let's share the box score here so we can have a visual. Drops 75-66 to a pretty good Musketeer team. I mean, it's called spade. Yeah, we can see that. Pulling it up here for you. I mean, overall – we'll talk about it in a minute. I just don't know how Nick Pringle fits into this a little bit. But field goal 75-66. South Carolina led for a lot of this. They were up 5 at halftime, as you can see. 42%. This was probably South Carolina's best game of the whole season. Let's be honest. I mean, North Florida, they struggled. They dropped one to Indiana. Got off to a bad start at Assembly Hall. Is what it is. This was their best game, even in a loss. I mean, I've said it all week. I thought Missouri football's best game all year was in a loss to South Carolina. Talking about the football teams here. When we talked, but this for South Carolina in a loss, it can still be your best game. 42% from the field. I mean, obviously 3-point land. See, that's what I'm talking about. When you play Nick Pringle a lot, he doesn't shoot threes. So you're honestly if South Carolina isn't shooting threes, how else are they being productive? Again, they kind of faltered in the second half, scoring there only 32 points. I know they had 34 in the first half, but still 66 points. Just not going to really get it done. Outside of Colin Murray, boys, we got to figure out something else if I'm Lamont Paris. 13 points for him, 4 or 5 field goals, 5 for 7 from the free throw line. Just Nick Pringle makes this an interesting lineup because he's a non-real offensive threat. He really plays that dunker spot where he was coming from Alabama last year. But, I mean, rebounds, Xavier outrated him 41-31. Turnovers, again, not terrible. 12 for South Carolina, 10 for Xavier. What was the free throw percentage? 71, 80%. Again, I thought South Carolina played pretty well. Just offense got stagnant a little bit. I mean, both teams had double-digit leads. This was back and forth. This was a fun game. Again, against an Xavier team that's beaten Wake Forest, giving them their only loss. Again, they're ranked 22nd in the country. Fort Myers tip-off tournament, the Beach Division is what it says. Let me put that bracket in. We talked about it a little bit on the show earlier. Fort Myers tip-off. South Carolina's just got to figure out this rotation because, I mean, you want Nick Pringle in there as like a rebounder. I mean, he's had a game. What game was it I was watching early in the year? I forget what it was off the top of my head, and he was playing well, but he's just not going to produce a lot from an offensive standpoint. They're just not. So it looks like South Carolina is going to play Virginia Tech tomorrow. So they'll play Virginia Tech tomorrow, Beach Division. Yep. Yeah, but 6 p.m. Eastern on FS1. So that's what it looks like it'll be right now. But overall, I mean, Lamont Pierce just got to figure out who is another scorer. Let's go to the box and score. Let's see some names. You got to figure out who else we're going to get some points from outside of Colin Murray Bowles, who obviously is a really good player. Expected a little bit more out of Miles Studi already. Jacoby Wright was fine tonight. Jamari Thomas, but again, Nick Pringle with only 3 boards. You got to be better than that. Nick Pringle, you want more than 3 rebounds. That's disappointing. Points, I'll give that up a little bit, but South Carolina not getting a lot from the bench. Again, really, who's it going to be? It's probably either going to be Studi, Jamari Thomas, or Jacoby Wright that's going to have to step up here at some point because you're limited with Nick Pringle out there, and he's in the starting lineup, baby. He's essentially, it's 4 on 5. And then Kyle Murray Boy is going to do his thing. He's going to do his thing. You can trust he's going to show up every night, but you need somebody else. That's going to be Lamont Pierce's struggle as South Carolina drops to 3-3 on the season. But again, I do think this was their best performance overall. They need to go get that Virginia Tech win. I think they really do need to go get that Virginia Tech win. And I'm looking forward to go back and watch some of the South Carolina game. I don't know the dual screen, but I want to go back and really watch this one. And remember, just instant reaction here to Monday night's first night of feast week, or really depending when you start your feast week. I'm saying really tonight, the Thanksgiving week is when we're starting it. But South Carolina, I think they'll get better. It's just figuring out where the offensive production comes from outside of Colin Murray Bowles. Because like I said, I don't like Nick Pringle in the lineup, but you have to bring him in. But if he's only producing 3 rebounds, what is he really doing out there? You know what I mean? That's just kind of how I feel about it. But again, South Carolina drops a game to a top 25 Xavier team, a good Xavier team, beat a Wake Forest team with Hunter Salas that's really good as well. They're undefeated, 6-0, ranked 22nd for a reason. Get a 75-66 win. Game felt closer than that, though. Kind of a BS call, taking away the bucket at the end was something that'll leave a sour taste in South Carolina fans' mouths. But again, South Carolina was up at half, 34-29, had chances to win the game in the second half, just didn't. South Carolina drops to 3-3. I do think they'll get better as the season goes on. Lamont Pierce has his work cut out for him, trying to find that rotation of offensive scorers across the board. And then finally, the last game of the night, Arkansas. We're not going to break this one down too much. Totally just blast Maryland Eastern Shore. 109-35, folks. Just dominate. Arkansas shoots 55% from the field, 44% from three-point range, 82% from the free throw line, out-rebounds by 20 almost, 49-30. Turnovers, Arkansas only had 4. Eastern Shore, 19. Eastern Shore drops to 2-7. They've already played 9 games. Maryland Eastern Shore, the Hawks, they've already played 9 games. That's baffling. It's wild, honestly. I mean, I guess it's only 3 more games. It just looks weird seeing it up there. Points in the paint, 46-20. Let's see who did most of the damage. I really didn't see in this game. I'm really following it as you're doing it here. I mean, off the bench here, I mean, every starter in double figures. Big Z, 14, with 6 boards. Adu Thero, who's been big for them all year. I mean, they would have gotten blown out against Baylor if he didn't keep them in at 11 points, 4 rebounds tonight. Boogie Flan, 16 points on 5 of 7 shooting. You'll take that. You'll take that assist, 6 assists. That's what you want from the true freshman. You like to see that against. No, I don't care if it's air or in practice. Nelly Davis, 16 points on 5 of 8 shooting, 4 assists. You like seeing that. DJ Wagner, 13 points, 6 rebounds. Yeah, I mean, overall well game. I mean, you had 7 people in double figures. You'll take that. Again, you're shooting over 55% from field, 44% from three-point land. Billy Richmond, who I think is only going to get better as well. Carter Knox as well, the other 2 true freshmen of Arkansas's highly ranked recruiting class going for Richmond going for 14, Carter Knox going for 21. How Trevor Brazile gets back in this lineup off the injury will be key. But really not a lot to take off this one. Arkansas's next big one is Thursday, Thanksgiving Day. Hoopsgiving in Kansas City against Illinois. Both Arkansas and Illinois won a big non-conference win. Illinois dropped a pretty big one last week. I was at it in Birmingham against Alabama. They'll want to get some revenge against an SEC team. Arkansas's dropped their only other big game against Baylor early in the year. I mentioned that with the new Thero. They won a big non-conference win. So that will be at, the Sprint, T-Mobile Center in Kansas City, whatever the sponsor is now. But that'll be a big one. That'll be fun to watch on Thanksgiving. So both those teams need that W right there. But tonight specifically, John Calipari and the boys get the 109-35 win over 9 games already played. The Maryland Eastern Shore Hogs, folks. Let's stop sharing. But guys, it's the instant reaction. Again, we're not going to go overly too long to overly talk. We're just breaking down just the night it was. But man, what 2 phenomenal games in Maui, specifically the SEC one, Auburn. What a game. That was a fun game, guys. 2 really good teams that you could easily see in the Final Four there. Auburn, just a team with some edge, a chip on shoulder. They're never out of games because they defend the basketball so well, and they can become like a microwave offense from beyond the arc. Guys like Miles Kelly, Tahad Pettiford, Chad Baker-Mazaro stepping up, becoming a better offensive threat than he was last year. Like, he'll take some shots like you saw Katie Johnson did last year, but he's more efficient with them. Again, I didn't really ever think Katie Johnson was that good a player. Chad Baker-Mazaro definitely looks like he's going to be having a more efficient offensive game this year that he's developed than Katie Johnson ever had. But man, what a fun game. Mr. Consistent. I think the best player in the SEC, Janai Broome, stepping up when they need him big. But guys, phenomenal first night of Feast Week. We'll have some other reactions tomorrow. I mean, Auburn versus the winner of North Carolina Dayton. You got Alabama Houston, which will be the highlight game of the night. One of Auburn's early season victories they had 2 weeks ago at the Toyota Center in Houston. You got Texas A&M Oregon. That'll be another one in that Players Era Festival that we'll be talking about. Then we'll really start getting rocking and rolling Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday. We got a couple of those Arizona tournament Mississippi State's in against UNLV, and then Ole Miss is out in San Diego opening up against BYU, and we'll play the winner of Purdue and NC State, a rematch of the semifinals and the Final Four in Phoenix last year. But guys, Dave Shumate, your host here, SEC basketball analyst at the SEC Unfiltered channel. If you don't already, you're just learning from us. Go like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. It's SEC Unfiltered. Myself, Chris Phillips, Cole Thompson, the rest of the SEC Unfiltered family. We cover all things SEC football, basketball, baseball. We got college football previews for rivalry week coming at you right now. Texas A&M's preview we recorded early. It's already out. Dave Talks Ball, my live show. We pushed up an hour for this Auburn-Iowa State game, which I'm glad I did. Maybe an Auburn fan in the first half would have loved to miss it. But, man, what a phenomenal game. But Dave Talks Ball, we're on that. That's on Monday, Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern normally. Push it up an hour, like I said, for Maui. But for Dave Shumate, I will see you tomorrow, folks. What a phenomenal first night of Feast Week, and especially out in Maui. I'm jealous I'm not out there. But you have a phenomenal evening. I will see you tomorrow night.